4 to 8?
4 p.m. to 8 Eastern.
What time are we on in the UK, Sniper?
9 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Okay, special guest in the house tonight. You've been listening to songs. Artists go by the name of Qshan Deya. Before we get started, let the listeners know what is the meaning behind that name.
Well, blessed love and greetings to the globe. My name is Qshan Deya. Qshan mean Kwashi, representing the nation. Q in the English language is always followed by a U. So I decided to break all rules. And considering my last name is spelled Quashie, which is Kwashi, which actually means Sunday. It's a family in Accra, which is West Africa, where I roots actually came from originally.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself. You're saying that your roots come from West Africa. Where did the artist Qshan actually was born at? When did you start doing music?
Well, Qshan Deya was born K.L.S, Calvert, Kwashi, of a small little island in the Caribbean, south of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, called Union Island, the land of the runaway slaves.
Okay. And when did you actually start recording music professionally? Let me compliment you on that big heavy voice you got.
Give thanks.
They got a name that they call you. They call you the trumpet?
The volcano trumpet.
The volcano trumpet. Where did that nickname come from?
Well, I anointed myself with that nickname like 2 years ago.
Okay, and what is the meaning behind that?
The meaning behind this nickname is I'm from a volcanic island. So I'm considering my voice may spit out powerful lava, but not really to burn you, but to caution you with my word, song, and power, which is my lyrics.
Nice.
So my lyrics is not meant to hurt no one, judge no one, but just to offer advice, solutions, to bridge the gap.
Okay. When did Qshan Deya started this musical journey? When did you were you actually performing as an artist before you stepped into the booth? Is it someone that saw you maybe at a talent show or something like that and recognized your talent and decided you needed to be a voice that's heard worldwide?
Well, definitely at the tender age of 9, I was already embracing the stage in my little island where we have Easter festivities every April. And from a tender age, being inspired by brethren like Hammerman, who was up-and-coming artist, who had got opportunity to go to Jamaica with people like Little John and so forth. I was inspired to pursue music, but never knew that I would have been into music professionally this day until I migrated to St. Vincent, Kingston, the mainland.
Okay.
Because it's St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Okay, so coming from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as a reggae artist, what is that scene like, and what is the island's connection to Jamaica?
Definitely reggae is more popular. I mean, we love our K.L.C.S, which is part of our cultural, background with the K.L.C.S or the soca, but reggae predominantly always dominate. And so, from a young youth growing up listening to reggae music, the great Dennis Brown, Bojo Band and the Beanie Man, the Bounty Killer within my era, because I was born 1978. So you find after listening to those music, and then I migrated to St. Vincent, where there's the main radio stations, and you're hearing more music rather than in the Grenadines, because we have no radio station in the Grenadines.
Okay.
It's 3 square miles.
Tell our listeners what it's like growing up in those small islands off of the Grenadines. What was it like for you growing up off of the mainland islands, as we would say?
Well, limited opportunities. It was a lot of joy because we always had sport to balance off our stress. So as you come from school in the evening time, put on pants and shirt, you go to the basketball court. That was like our main recreation.
Okay, and for the listeners now, they don't have the opportunity to see you as we're doing the interview. They'll have to wait about a week to actually see the interview. Don't forget to check out that YouTube page, King Ron Caribbean Showcase. for all of the past interviews. You get to actually see us interact with the artists. You get to see the artists up close and personal. For the listeners now that are just listening, they will not understand that I'm looking at a young man who appears to follow the Rastafarian lifestyle. When did you become involved in the Rastafarian way of life?
Officially 2001.
Okay.
When I embarked upon the US tour, 40 state tour with Anthony B, the Star Trail family as is open act.
Okay. We gonna get to the tours and the artists that you worked with, toured with in a little bit. But as an artist, you said 2002 you came into the way of the Rastafarian lifestyle. Before this time, you were already recording as an artist?
1999, yes, I started my first recording.
Okay, so let's get to that point when you started your first recording. When you first stepped into the booth, what type of music were you doing and what was your inspiration at that point in time? And who took you to the studio for that first session that you did?
Paul Lillapena, which was my first producer that I was working with. The first track that we recorded was entitled Journey, which later became my debut album.
Okay.
Which I went to tour after. And like I didn't finish saying, while I was on tour on my way back to do the New York show, after the Twin Towers went down, we were the first band to actually allow back in there to do a performance because we were so close to the site where the Twin Towers went down. I remember reaching Boston, Massachusetts coming in, and I look into the clouds and I saw a picture of K.L.C.S at the first. And when I reach forward to New York now, the daughter that I was dwelling with at the time blessed me with a medallion of the king face on top of it. And I took that moment as a significant moment where even when I saw people like Brother Qshan performed one time in New York, I went to his performance, and after I went to him, I started reading more of the Bible because I was kind of inspired.
Okay.
From that moment on, I began to grow and know about His Majesty, and I never went among no Rastafarian group to find that.
Okay.
Through studying and seeking knowledge, I find K.L.C.S first.
Okay, so as a recording artist, you started out in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Were you actually recording music in St. Vincent, or did you migrate off of the island and then start recording?
Did migrate off of the island in 1996 and came to Brooklyn, New York, which I've been living from since then.
Okay, so in 96 you migrated to Brooklyn, New York. This is when you first actually started doing professional recording?
No, in 1999 I mentioned when I recorded my first single entitled Journey.
Okay. How did you hook up with that producer? What was it like actually recording your first single, hearing yourself on an official production?
Well, it was a joy meeting Paul Lillapena around 1997. At that time I was still going to karaoke's around Brooklyn, New York area. I entered at its One Talent program at the time in Brooklyn, where different people saw me and someone made a connection with me to him.
Okay, and what are some of the artists that Paul was working with at the time that you realized that this person can help you take the next step in your career?
Razor.
Okay, the
Brooklyn
artist.
One in a Million.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
So way back.
Wicked young artist.
Yeah.
Okay, so Paul recognized you as an upcoming talent. He took you into the studio. You did the first single, Journey. What was the reception like for your first single?
Well, the first single, Journey, was recorded, but was never scheduled to release. Because I was just a brethren to him, and I was telling him I have the talent to do this, but his figure still I need to develop. So after recording the track, Journey, and he have it in the studio, it was not mixed at the time, I got in contact with a brother called Derek Young of J&D Records. The track record is, they brought an album out with Jack Your first album, Free Jack Your. So they were the first independent Brooklyn distributors that was distributing reggae music. Opposed to the, the VP that we know. Everybody know about the VP record. So J&D was these two brothers who was working together to bring a change in the reggae fraternity, helping up and coming artists. So they approached me and they said, you know, we heard about you in Brooklyn, we would like to do an album with you.
Okay.
Then I contact Paul Delapenna for them to get the song from him. So that's where the journey started.
Okay, so that first song, The Journey, was included on your debut album.
Yeah, it was the title track of the album.
Okay. Now, tell us a little bit about that first debut album. Who were some of the artists that you had guest featured on that album, and what was the general reception you received from that album?
Okay, it featured people like Richie Spice and Yami Bolo. And that first album was a 12-track compilation. And like I said, I went to the US, toured Anthony B. I was well received. Every show I did, it was an encore.
Okay. Anthony B., well-known artist in the business. Star Trail Records?
Star Trail Records.
Okay. Going on tour with Anthony B., this first initial tour after you released your debut album, what did you pick up as far as moving out on the road with an established artist? Is there anything that you learned from Anthony B. on the road? And what was the relationship like with Anthony B.?
Well, what I learned about being on the road is that even though you're a big, well-known artist, there's certain states that you go that maybe 200-300 people come out. So I realized that reggae was still building in different regions of the US. So, you know, I realized that it humbled even some artists who used to be performing in the big festival with thousands and thousands of people. So that helped to give me an experience of whenever I rise as an artist, when you go to certain places where there's one person there, you give them a 100. Always perform and put forth your best.
Okay. Now, going back to, okay, the last one made a lot of sense listening to your voice. I was waiting for an artist with the vocal range that you have.
Yeah.
And not to take away from the great Dennis Brown or Luciano, but the heaviness to your voice is not something that I would say that you picked up from them. So Lou Rawls does make sense. Okay. Growing up as a young man in the Grenadines, when did you first hear your first Lou Rawls records?
Well, I actually got exposed to the Lou Rawls when I migrated to the US.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you obviously enjoy listening to other genres of music. Yes. What are some of the other genres of music that you would say inspired you in your journey as an artist?
Rhythm and blues, jazz, pop.
Okay. Now, the first album was released. You went on tour with Anthony B. What was some of the acclamation that you received from doing these shows and from your music being on the road?
Well, definitely after the first show we did in Texas. After that show, we did 2 more shows, and then the 3rd show was California. And when we reached to California, what surprised me, my album was #2 on the chart. Anthony B was #7 on the chart. He was the headline act. So it gave me a lot more confidence in what I was doing and reassured me that I was on the right path.
Okay. Now, before we got started with the interview, DJ Sniper Movements ran through some of your current music. The one that stood out to me, I would say, was Play the Music.
Okay.
Is this actually released as yet, that song Play the Music, or is this something new that you just worked on?
It is something new that I've worked on and put out an official video for it, but it's not for sale as yet on iTunes.
Okay, once again, TGM Radio, King Lion Caribbean Showcase. Tune in, you get those exclusive pre-releases on our program. Unreleased music that you heard so far from the artist. Another one that I was really feeling was How Great. What are some of the inspirations that you were drawing from to create this sound?
Well, first I started with Play the Music. Being in Jamaica and not being a born Jamaican artist, it's like going against the grain for some, or stepping into a territory that's not my original culture. when reggae music is global. So you find being in Jamaica now and trying to get my music played on the radio, it's not an easy journey. It's not like I can come to the K.L.S. family right here and get fully embraced with arms wide open, interview. In Jamaica you have to pay for an interview.
Okay.
Many people don't want to speak about it, but it's not my journey.
When was the first time that you actually visited Jamaica, and what was that experience like? Because I would think that by the time that you hit the ground in Jamaica, you already had your music and you already were a recording artist, you already performing. But what was that first initial experience like? I believe it was 2001 or 2 that you first went to Jamaica. What was that experience like, being that you already did shows in the US with Anthony B, you already released music worldwide?
It was of no significance to that fan base. Once your music is not being played there and nobody have heard it before, you come like nobody in the business.
Okay.
So after being there for a while and meeting different disc jockey, I mean, it's the truth. They ask you to grease their palm to play your music. When the money run out, them stop playing the music.
Okay, so
this is why I say born a payola, the Ebola of the music fraternity.
Okay. So you went through that rough, rugged road of realizing as an artist, even though you were being accepted in the US, on the ground in Jamaica, there was still a lot more work to be done.
And still going on right now. Music is not on rotational because I refuse to pay it.
Okay. So you landed on the ground in Jamaica, you realized what was the formula to actually get recognized in Jamaica. What was your next move at that point in time?
My next move was to go to the grassroots, try to get on the different shows and let the people be the judge. If the people see you live and you have the talent, they will request you and the promoters will need to put you on the show. Up come me being on Rebel Salute 2011.
Okay. What was that experience like? Who were some of the other artists that graced that stage with you that night?
There was Richie Spice, there was Tony Rebel himself, Queen Africa, AJ Brown, who is now the vocalist for Third World Band. Little John was there. Many stars, I mean, they're so numerous for me to even remember all the names. But it was a big lineup for 2011.
Okay, so you went to the ground in Jamaica 2002. You realized what was the formula. Fast forward to 2011, you said. You are on the big stage with the artists. That obviously shows your fight in this business to get to where you needed to get to. After performing with these other artists, is there anybody in Jamaica that you would say that you linked with on the ground once you were down there that helped your career musically move forward?
Yes, because I met with the producer, Garfield Sample Phillips, who's actually the son of Phil Pratt, big producer, renowned producer from in the Studio One days, that produced people like Dennis Brown, Pat Kelly, Gregory Isaac, and so forth. So being the son of a producer, he started music like 10 years before I even started singing. So he was working with Lady Saw, actually was the manager for Lady Saw. After we linked in Kingston, Jamaica, through a friend of his, we started working together to put this same album which you have before you, Love, Cover and Assault, together.
Okay, and that's where I want to get to. I'm actually looking at the finished product, CD cover, jacket, everything well presented. The name is there, the explanation of the name is there, and the name of this album is called Love, Govern Us All. When was the official release for this album?
2012, June.
Okay, 2012. And when you take a look at this album and some of the names that are featured on this album, you have a track called Get Out with Half Pint, Go to School with Tony Rebel. You also have Lady G featured on the album. What were you doing in between this period that you were able to get with a producer such as Sampaloo and attract established, great, well-known artists such as Half Pint and Tony Rebel to actually do music with you?
Well, being in Jamaica from 2009, after I decided, you know what, being in Brooklyn for a while, I've done and graced more for the big shows. Many people have told me before, Qshan, you need to reside in Jamaica for a bit, not for 2 weeks. So I embarked upon that mission and went forth in 2009 and started doing some productions with people like Bobby Digital, you know.
Big name.
Yeah, so after I find myself just recording and nobody releasing, I realized that that wasn't the path that I need to go. Because you can be recording and not releasing the music. So after linking with his brother, Sampalu, I had already participated in that same year in the Jamaica National Singing Competition, which is called Festival.
Yes.
So in 2011, I entered the competition as a non-national, the first in the history of Jamaica to ever really enter. They allowing someone who's not born Jamaican to enter into the competition, and I must say, could do some respect to the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission through the Ministry of Culture.
Was that something that they actually pointed out to you, that they were giving you this first opportunity as a non-Jamaican national?
It was actually, they were trying to bridge the gap between us and them, because we're the Windward Islands.
Okay.
There's Leeward Islands.
Leeward and Windward, yes.
So at the time they were promoting what you call CSME, Caribbean Single Market Economy.
Okay.
Which is trying to say one Caribbean.
Okay, so you are ambassador basically for bridging the gap in between the Western and Eastern Caribbean islands.
Yes, I true music.
Okay. What was your reception like performing in this competition in Jamaica at that point in time?
It was a very well received energy from every one of the singers that was there. There was even great singers who won the competition years before, like Timber Stewart. You know, so I was among people who were actually doing their thing in Jamaica but couldn't get the #1 song because they didn't have enough finance to push the radio play and the promotion.
No payover.
Yeah.
Natural talent.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of natural talent, Sniper, we gonna touch on this album. We played a couple of pre-release tracks that the listeners would not be able to go out and purchase at this point in time. But we do have music that's released. It's on iTunes.
Yes.
It's on major digital platforms that the listeners could go out and draw for. Is there a particular song on this 17-track album, Love Governor Soul, that I'm looking at that you would like for the listeners to hear at this point in time?
Disappointment, because a lot of people look at the word disappointment in a negative way. Disappointment to me is divine intervention. When certain things don't work out, when you want it to work out, the Father has His time for all miraculous manifestation.
Okay, so there you have the explanation for the track number 5 on this 17-track album entitled Disappointment. And as the artist says, divine intervention. DJ Sniper, you got that one ready for us?
Learn from the lessons, some disappointments come with a blessing. Don't live for stressing. Failure must be unthinkable. Success comes with principle. Discipline starts from within. Rise above all obstacles and win. Hold your faith in the King. Feel down you out all you learn. No man can take your blessings. Join with me and sing. Some disappointments can be a blessing. Life is a test. Learn from the lesson. Some disappointments come with a blessing. No need for stressing. Some disappointments can be a blessing. Life is a test. Learn from the lesson. Some disappointments come with a blessing. No need for stressing. DGM Radio.
King My Caribbean Showcase, song entitled Disappointment, artist Qshan Deya. The production on that album, that's Diamond Rush production.
That is actually Highland Life production from France.
Okay. A lot of different producers from different regions. How do you go about actually selecting these rhythms that you're putting your powerful voice on?
Well, I was actually approached in Jamaica by a guy called Roy Francis, which is the owner of the Mixing Lab studio where Sly and Robbie them started the Taxi Gang, which is off of Dumbarton Avenue in Jamaica, Kingston, which is like minutes away from Halfway Tree. So being there every day as an artist among the stars, I heard there's a rhythm going out. And then he told me, Qshan, I'm gonna give you a blessing to go on the rhythm. I recorded the song on the rhythm alongside Luciano is on the same rhythm also. U-Roy is on this rhythm also. We have Spectacular on this rhythm. We have Anthony B on this rhythm. And Capleton on this rhythm. It's called the Bobo Ting rhythm.
Big rhythm, big rhythm. Okay, there's also a couple of other rhythms that you voiced on. For anybody who's familiar with the reggae music, you would know that producers build a rhythm. They select a number of different artists or to voice on the same rhythm. What are some of the other rhythms that you were featured on alongside artists that you would like our listeners to know you were blessed to voice alongside these artists?
We got the Who Can Hear Must Feel rhythm, which
big
is
rhythm.
actually done by Sly and Robbie. And then we have the people like Luciano, we have Richie Spice, we have Everton Blender, we have Spectacular, we have Jabooks, and also, what's his name again? Can't remember this other artist's name, but don't hold it against me. Now we also have another rhythm called the Queen Majesty rhythm, which
Big
is the
rhythm
same
again.
Island Life, you know, which feature people like Sizzla Kalonji, Lutan Fire, Richie Spice, myself, you know, and many more. Gappy Ranks was the person from the Who Can Hear Must Feel rhythm. Must mercy
Big,
respect.
big up the whole UK massive. Big up Taliba, Wax in the UK. Big up Cy Stevens in the UK, all our UK listeners. Okay, so you're underground in Jamaica. You released your debut album. You're voicing on rhythms. You're going back and forth between Jamaica and US doing shows and stuff like that. At this point in time when your career started bubbling, what's going on for Qshan that make you have the motivation to continue? Because for reggae artists, a lot of reggae artists, there's no financial reward in the music. So what is it that kept you going as a recording artist to continue doing these songs?
Tell you the hungry days, even though it's essential, that is what really keep me grounded. Because when I was more hungry, when I had more zeal to push more, you know, when I was more comfortable, I was more laid back. I mean, like, being in Jamaica, even the survivability, I caught myself doing dub plates, where people overseas were sending finance to me to do dubs. You know, because after the festival, second place winning the festival in Jamaica, I was awarded with 400,000 Jamaican dollar, which went like that because you need more videos to keep coming. So I did a video with Lady G. That finance went right back into the video.
Okay.
Because it's not like back in the days where a major company will sign you and they have a marketing budget for you. It's not like that, you know.
Okay. So I'm glad that you recognize that in order for you to move forward in the business, you have to put in...
Reinvest.
Exactly. Okay, now as far as you being able to voice with European producers and stuff like that, have you actually traveled to Europe to perform as an artist?
Well, as part of my journey, remember the first album was called Journey. In Jamaica, they put out a CD before the competition finished, which is staging the winner of the competition. I was the second track, which was Everything Turn Up, which came second. And the #1 track on that CD was the guy who actually won the $1 million. That CD was called The Journey Continues.
Okay.
Now this album, which was done in Jamaica, it's never even launched in Jamaica up to this time. I went to the UK, the ambassador of reggae, the UK, to launch that in Brixton at a club called Utanani.
Okay, so now moving over to the UK to launch your album, the sound system culture in UK is very, very hardcore. They're very much into it. What was your reception like in the UK as artists? Were they already familiar with your music when you touched down in the UK?
Definitely. There's people who travel from Manchester all the way just to come to see my album launch. So I was well received by a lot of internet disc jockeys that is there on the internet, have been pushing my music and doing several interviews with me from years to years, you know, monitoring the growth of the
And as a youth from the Grenadines, migrating to the US, moving to Jamaica, and then to the UK, what was it like seeing the reception that you received when you touched down in the UK? I'm from the UK as well, so I know how ravenous the fan base is in the UK.
Trust me, I really felt elated when one time I was actually there when a countryman of mine, Patrick Jr., much respect, artist in the business too, he was actually performing there. So we had already discussed, he would have called me up, but one of the organizers said, "Do you have rhythms with you?" And I'm always prepared. They dropped one of my rhythms with the song Disappointment. And I graced the stage. And I got an encore. And when I came back now, to test the audience now to see who is one of their favorite singers, a lot of people was telling me, touch a D Brown. And I started singing a D Brown and my brother. The kind of reception, you can look forward to it on the Qshan Deya 1 channel on YouTube. You can see that performance with me live in Brixton at Hootenanny.
With your vocals and D Brown's lyrics, that must have been a hell of a performance. Okay, now you're moving around. What are some of the other places and some of the other shows that you were able to perform at that you think our listeners should know? Maybe there's some video on YouTube that the listeners could go out and check out.
Well, I've just done a show in St. Vincent, which is to raise finance for our sister island, Dominica, in aid for the hurricane damage that has been done to them a couple months ago. That was a big lineup with myself, Cesar Kalanji, Jamason, T.O.K., Vegas, Alice Nines, Beckett Cyrus, which is one of our local.
What was it like going back to St. Vincent, and what was that reception like after years of leaving the island, establishing yourself in the US and Jamaica and Europe? What was the reception like, you going back to St. Vincent?
It was good from the fans' standpoint, but the organization of how they treat and respect you as a Vincentian national is like common. No band rehearsal, you know. So you tend to get a substandard treatment because they're waiting for you to make the mega hit like my brother and Kevin Little made before they give you the red carpet treatment.
Okay.
So, you know, but still, these are the things that keep Qshan Deya going, the struggles I am going through, because I just face it with a smile. You see it and keep my joy. You know?
Okay, we want to keep the listeners in tune with this release that you have. Once again, the album is entitled Love Covering Us All. Artist Qshan Deya. It's available on iTunes now. You have the video. You said you reinvested into your career and you did the video with Lady G.
Yeah.
Sniper, let the listeners hear this song that we're talking about.
Guilty.
The video. The video is currently on YouTube. You can go and check out the YouTube page Qshan 1.
Yes, please.
On YouTube. And check out the video entitled Guilty featuring Lady G. TGM Radio, Kingline Caribbean Showcase, we back. Song entitled Guilty. Once again, the video is available on YouTube now. Qshan Deya 1 on YouTube. You can check out the video featuring Lady G, song entitled Guilty. Okay, we're moving forward now. What I realized about you in doing my research before the interview was you are a performer. You've performed at in a lot of countries, a lot of various events. Again, who are some of the artists that you performed? What are some of the major events that you've headlined? Let's, for instance, in New York.
Carafesta.
Yes. You performed at Roy Wilkins Park.
Yeah. A reggae rhythm and blues with Babyface, Monica.
Big concert.
Riley.
Big concert. Now, you're gracing the stage with these artists. Are you taking in these performances from these legendary Grammy Award winning artists such as Babyface? Are you looking at them while they're performing? Is there something that Qshan is saying to itself, like, I could add that to my performance, or I'm being inspired by such and such artists that I want to make my performance a little bit better?
Definitely. I always look into any artist that is performing before me or after. When I'm finished performing, you can find me in the center of the crowd.
Okay. Reggae music is also very big on the West Coast. You've been out there.
Been on the West Coast. You've
done a couple of shows out on the West Coast. Who are some of the other artists that you performed with in the U.S. traveling? Maybe not on tour, but you're doing shows alongside these artists.
Tell you the truth, I was doing it sound system style on the West Coast.
I love that. Okay, let's talk about that. You're doing it sound system style, so you're chatting live on sound systems.
Yeah.
When did you first pick up the mic on a sound system? It's a tradition that a lot of the young singers in Jamaica, they grew up on. But you coming from a different island, when did you pick up that skill to chat live on sound systems?
Well, I would say, like, from my little island, Union Island, back in the days, people like Hammerman, like I mentioned before earlier on, was like one of the best toasts that they used to call it. It wasn't Sing J or DJ like what I say.
Toaster, like I roar, like you roar.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and I remember we always have like a big sound system called DJ Crown. And we are in the village part. Clifton is the city. And you come down to Ashton, which is the village, where there's the sports complex. And on that sporting complex, we have the music strings up, and then everybody in the little village hears about it, so they usually go there to, you know, socialize and so forth. So after being always on the basketball court, most of the time the DJs come to set up, and they're running a rhythm. I'm maybe listening to Hammerman, T-Bo Rankin, Tony Ranks, which is some up-and-coming artists from way back.
Okay.
You know, and getting encouraged to want to try it one day. But because you're young, you never really get the opportunity to hold the mic until when they have stuff like this talent search or culture night, which is part of the Easter festivities. Then you get to brace the stage as a youngster.
Okay.
You know. And after gracing the stage, then people see the talent. When the song system comes and string up the next time, the mic is yours.
Okay. So for all the listeners out there, powerful voice, Qshan Deya, gave you the explanation for the name. We let you hear some unreleased music. We let you hear some released music. For all the listeners, you can go out, once again, iTunes, Amazon, all major digital platforms. You can even go to your local record shop and see if they got the CD, because I'm looking at a hard copy of the CD, Love Governor Saul. Once again, featuring artists like Lady G, Tony Rebel, Half Pint. You can check out Qshan. He's constantly on tour, doing shows. Do you have any upcoming shows coming up that the listeners can
Well,
go out and check out?
right now I'm actually trying to finish this third album of my career.
Nice.
Because this is the second album, you know. So this third album, I'm going to call it Gate of Mount Zion.
Okay. The Gate of Mount Zion. So can we expect music like Play the Music, High Grade, State of Emergency on this album?
Live and Learn, you know. Silent Treatment.
No Other Lover.
No Other Lover also, yeah.
Okay. So if you tuned in before the interview started, you got a slight sample of what the artist is working on for this upcoming album. What would you say is the feel of the album?
The feel of the album is music with message, as always, and sing-along music. I'm actually going to be doing this song, Lady Love, by Lou Rawls. We'll cover by Lou Rawls on this album, because a lot of places I go and perform, you know, most of the time I grace the stage with "You'll Never Find," songs like that.
Okay, now a lot of people in the reggae music, it gets lost in translation of what an artist has to go through to actually record a song or sing over a song or sample a song. Are you going through the correct channels with Mr. Lou Rawls? Does he know? Has he heard this voices yet?
No, Lou Rawls is the late Lou Rawls now.
Oh, yes. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
now,
I'm just doing this for
Isn't that
promotion, just like the Taurus Riley did. I will stay with you.
Okay, this is what I want to make sure that
you don't register it. You can't register.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
It's just adapted. You just paying tribute.
That's what I want to make sure you do, so the listeners could hear this. Because honestly, I didn't pick it up until you mentioned Lou Rawls' name, but I made the connection once you said it. So R.I.P. to Lou Rawls once again. His music live on through artists like yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm looking forward to hearing you doing a readaptation of him.
Lady Love, your love is peaceful like the summer breeze. My lady love, with a love as tender as a baby's touch. And you give me all the things that I need so much. And I thank you, my lady love, lady love. Your love is cooling after winter snow. My lady love, with a love as cozy as a fire's glow. And I keep on needing you, girl, a little more and more. Heaven sent you, my lady love.
The crazy thing about it is we usually take a segment out of the program to let the artists feature their voice.
Yeah. We'll do that after same way.
Jeremy, you realize he just did it without us even signaling him.
Just the alignment, you know?
Just the alignment.
Rastafari.
Natural artists. Appreciate the talent, appreciate the voice. One thing we like to do is we like to let the listeners know where they can reach out, contact the artists, maybe producers, listeners, people who are inspired by your music. We already announced that you can go and see your videos on Qshan Deya 1 on YouTube. What are some of the other platforms, social media platforms, example Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that the listeners can reach out and get to know the artists more personally?
Yeah, you can go catch me on Facebook as Qshan Deya Music with a K, M-U-S-I-K, under my real name, K.L.S. Kwashi, K-E-L-L-I-S, Q-U-A-S-H-I-E. On Twitter, Qshan_Deya. On Instagram, Qshan Deya spelled Q-S-H-A-N-D-E-Y-A, one word. On SoundCloud, one word again, soundcloud.com/Qshan Deya spelled Q-S-H-A-N-D-E-Y-A.
Okay. Normally we would give the artist a rhythm to perform over. I'm going to request that you do it a cappella. The voice is so powerful. The listeners is hitting my phone. They're saying you're sending chills up their spines.
Give thanks.
So I'm going to request that you do something live for the listeners before we tune out.
Love is rock
style.
or culture?
Whichever you choose, man. What's your vibe right now? What you want the King Lion Caribbean Showcase listeners to vibe off of Qshan, TGM Radio? Just let them know what you're bringing to the table, what to look out for.
Live and learn.
Live and learn.
Because I know that everyone in life do live and learn.
We gonna do it a cappella.
Look ahead and see the signs. Don't pretend you blind. Only your efforts will make a difference in this your time. The world is changing, rearranging. Be careful of mankind. Open your eyes and be objective and do what's right. Live on and learn. Work hard and you will earn. You better live on and learn. Every man has his turn. Live on and learn. Work hard and you will earn. I say live on and learn. Every man has his turn. Life experiences teaches us wisdom. Don't forget how far you're coming from. Remain humble even when you stumble. But life is a lesson you learn. Sometime you get burned, but you will have your time to smile in return. So live on and learn. Work hard and you will earn, my brothers. Live on and learn. Every man has his turn. Live on and learn. Work hard and you will earn. I said live on and learn. Every man has his turn. Woo! What you put in is exactly what you get out. Whether you live in the east, west, north or south. Live on and learn. Work hard and you will earn. My sisters, live on and learn. Every man has his turn. The race is not only for the swift, but for those who can endure it. Though we are empty in flesh, we should be full in spirit. So live on and learn. Work hard and you will earn. You better live on and learn. King Lion, you've got your turn. I said live on and learn. Work hard and you will learn. I said live on and learn. Every man has his turn. Woo! Never yet done before.
Back.
Or King or Trumpet,
Yeah,
Qshan Deya himself.
DGM Radio.
Appreciate the powerful voice, blessing us with the voice.
Respect.
Once again, you can check out his videos, Qshan Deya 1, YouTube. Check him out on Facebook, Twitter. Love Governor Saul, the album currently available on iTunes, Amazon, all digital platforms. Hard copies, check your local record shop. The upcoming album is entitled
Gate of Mount Zion.
Gate of Mount Zion. Look forward to songs like Play the Music, High Grade.
People like you would get, Jar Mason is going to be featured on that one.
Okay. Once again, I appreciate the love. TGM Radio, King Lion Caribbean Showcase. The artist Qshan Deya. Keep in tune. Link him up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out that music on iTunes. Much love, much respect. Powerful voice.
Give thanks, my brother.
Inspiration.
King Lion Caribbean Showcase, always setting the pace. Respect. Vice of the one Qshan Deya, the volcano trumpet.
Anybody you want, before we tune out, is there anybody you want to send that love to, give a shout out to?
This is to all the haters who don't want to see me busting at this business. Who can't stop I man vice. Is it? And all of this jack you not been playing my music. Well then you can see I've proved myself worthy. I have the gift of word, song and power. So for me get real music, play the bomber clap music. So let's see the first.
True.